Flag Day. I'm really excited to have you here. So we have just the 8th grade here in the live audience. Again, because we want to keep it nice and small so you guys have a chance to meet special guests that we have with you. Mr. Panepento, who organized all of this, is going to do the introductions. But I'm just going to talk to you a little bit about Flag Day to start. Flag Day, in 1916, President Woodrow Wilson issued a proclamation declaring June 14th as Flag Day. Congress followed the proclamation in 1949 by enacting a statute that officially recognized Flag Day. Flag Day commemorates the adoption of the flag in the United States, which occurred on June 14th, 1977, by a resolution adopted by the Second Constitutional Congress. It also marks the birthday of the U.S. Army, which Congress authorized as the American Continental Army on June 14th, 1777. In honor of Flag Day, here are a few facts about the United States flags that we want to share with you. The flag always flies at the White House, Fort McHenry, and Iwo Jima Memorial. There is no evidence that Betsy Ross designed the first American flag, but at one point she was paid for creating ship's colors. Some people believe that a man named Francis Hopkinson helped design the original flag. There are still 5 American flags on the moon, but if you look at them, they're bleached white at this point because of all the radiation from the sun. When 2 or more flags are flown on the same pole, the American flag must always be on top. The colors of the flag have important meanings. Red symbolizes hardiness and valor, white symbolizes purity and innocence, and blue represents vigilance, perseverance, and justice. So just a little bit of information for Flag Day for you. So at this time, I'm going to turn the microphone over to Mr. Panepento, who's going to do some introductions for us so we can learn a little bit more about our special friends.
Hi everybody, how are you? Someone said, why was it so important for me to get our 2 gentlemen here to speak to you? It's really important to understand what people are willing to sacrifice for each and every one of us. After you hear their stories, think to yourself if you would have the courage or the wherewithal to do what they did. Mr. Casey Krakowski here didn't know myself, he didn't know any one of you, but the sacrifices and the life he lived during the Second World War I'm still speechless. This young man next to him, Jared, was my oldest son's best friend. He'll tell you a little bit about what he put himself through to become a pilot, to fly in the Middle East. These 2 guys, and they're best friends. And they're best friends. There's no age barrier between these 2. So I'm going to turn this over to Major. You are active, correct?
Yeah, reservist, yeah.
Okay, this is Major Jerry Cummings.
Good morning, everyone. I'm Major Jerry Cummings from Niagara Falls. I was much like yourself, I went to school out here in Batavia, so you guys could be in my shoes someday. So what I'm going to do is give you a little bit of background. I really want to focus on Casey here. He's my contributions to our freedom is I think far less than his. So I'd rather focus more on him. But if you guys got any questions for me, how I got where I am, or what the military has to offer for you young folks out there, feel free to ask me. But I'm going to put the focus here on Casey.
Oh, St. Casey had a birthday last week.
Yep. So a little bit about Casey. Casey was a waist gunner on a B-17 during World War II. He grew up not too far from here, much like you guys, going to school, and eventually the war came about. So Casey, thinking big about himself, decided to join the company working in a defense contract company, making landing gear struts for the P-40 to contribute. And eventually Pearl Harbor happened, and he thought he could contribute more by being an actual military. So he went to go enlist. He ended up in the Army Air Corps. And during his time in the Air Corps, he was attached to the B-17 as a waist gunner with a crew primarily of New Yorkers. Casey's one of 4 surviving crew members on this B-17. We'll talk a little bit about what happened to the rest of them in a little bit. But Casey, I'm going to leave it over to him for a little bit, let him talk a little about himself, and I'll help him kind of recall things. And if you got any questions, just hold to the end here. We'll have a little bit of time to answer a few of them. So without any interruptions, Casey Bukowski.
First of all, let me thank all of you for inviting me here. I am truly honored to be asked to appear before you and give you a little bit of my story so you can maybe carry out an idea further on in your life about what happened during World War II. And then just, if you study history a bit, they'll tell you all about it. And they'll tell you the ins and outs of it and what a lot of us went through and what some of it were fortunate to get through without any damage to ourselves. But anyhow, I enlisted in the service when I was 18. And I actually started my military life at 18 years of age. And to tell the truth, I didn't realize what I was getting into until I got into training and met people that had already served and filled me with the facts of life of a serviceman at that time. And I have a few stories I could tell, but I won't waste your time because you probably have other things to study more important than just listening to a guy talk to you about his days in the war. And then, anyhow, I'll answer questions if I can that you may have regarding my service. But as Major announced that he found me on the street, walking the streets by myself, and showed me what life in the after fact was actually like by sort of adopting me and taking me under his wing, under his wings, and showing me what it was to be in the service as he was. But and I learned plenty. I became very good friends with him, and I've been best buddies, let's say, with him ever since. And I certainly enjoy it, and I hope, jokingly, I'll say, for the rest of my life, I hope I can spend my life with this guy here. He's the greatest. And if you have any questions, I'll be glad to answer them if I can. But now, a quick rundown. I enlisted when I was 18. I went overseas when I was 19. I flew B-17s as a waist gunner and was shot down on a 16th mission and made prisoner of war. I was a prisoner of war for 14 months in Germany, and then rescued and retrieved, I'd say, by General Patton and his Third Army just after the invasion in France. And I was injured. I lost my right eye in the service, and I suffered wounds in my body. I had the Purple Heart. I received the Air Medal 3 times, actually, for that. They say for bravery and working in the Air Force. Let's put it that way. and I got discharged safely. Oh, I should mention too, that during my incarceration, during my prisoner of war days, we were marched for 82 days in Germany with what they called at that time a death march. But the Germans were trying to keep us away from the Russians so that the Russians wouldn't save us from the Germans. But anyhow, we stayed prisoners until the very end, and we were just simply rescued by the Third Army, General Patton. Now, there's incidents that happened. I could ramble on for quite a while, but I'm sure you have questions that you might want to ask, and between the two of us, I'm sure we can answer them for you, and let you know what happened to us during the war. So.
Casey, and we have 3 young people, 3 students. There was a contest to write what the flag meant to them. So I'm hoping that these guys can come up here and read to you, both and to the rest of us, on what the American flag means to them. So Cora, can you come up first? Cora won the contest.
Do you want this mic here? Your core. This is you, right? Yeah, you can read.
The American flag means freedom for our country. I am very proud to be an American and live in this country. For anyone that is in the Army, Navy, Air Force, Marines, and Coast Guard, I'm very thankful for the freedom they brought to this country. For the ones that risked their lives and lost them, they brought us freedom and should receive the greatest deal of respect. This Flag Day, we will honor our country and the people that died for it.
Very good.
Cora won first place in this contest, and then which was a $50 gift card. So who's next? We got Gabby. Gabby Smith.
The flag means to me all the people who sacrificed their lives so we can be free. It reminds me how lucky I am to be part of this country. It reminds me of how much men and women will sacrifice for us. Their work is greatly appreciated. America is free all because of the veterans and military. Thank you for all you did. You all have made a big impact. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Gabby's second place was $35. And then last but not least,
We have
Colin.
Manchu.
To me, the American flag means freedom. Also, it represents all the men and women who fought for that freedom. To me, it also represents where we started to where we are now. 13 stripes, 13 colonies, and 50 stars, 50 states. All the veterans fought to keep Americans safe, and I thank them for that. Me and every
Where are you at? Everybody.
everybody.
Everybody who lives in the United States should be
in this
thankful.
state should be thankful because if you didn't risk your lives to protect us, we would not have the privileges we have today.
Thank you.
And other students, color and pictures, and this book is going to be presented to at the VA hospital on Sunday. So if you guys aren't doing anything, I know people might say it's Father's Day. The activity starts at 10:30. Mr. Barkowski will be there. This is going to be a riot. The kids will be able to do this. This will be presented to the patients who are in the hospital. So we're doing something special for them. And now I'm going to turn it back. Now, Jared's got an interesting story, so I'm going to turn this to him and he'll take it from here.
Sure. So a little more about Casey. We just returned from a trip about 4 days ago. So Casey is 100 years old, so he's just had a recent birthday. So he went to his old base back in England, Ridgewell, where he operated B-17s. Fortunately for Casey, the airfield is still active today. They fly gliders out of there. So Casey took a flight to glider over his old airfield, and later on that day, he went up in a P-51 Mustang on his birthday. So for 100 years old, he's pretty adept, and he continues to impress me with the things he does.
So Casey, we're going to give you a little bit of a late happy birthday card from the students here at the middle school. And how's about happy birthday to you? Come on, happy birthday to you. Sing with me, happy birthday, dear Casey. Happy birthday to you.
Thank you so much. It's truly an honor. I appreciate this so very much. Thank you. Thank you all.
Casey also, after his birthday, we went to Normandy, where he joined about 170 of his peers, World War II veterans. It's probably the largest gathering of veterans I've ever seen in my life in Normandy. I don't know if you're aware, this is the 80th anniversary of D-Day. So D-Day was a pivotal day for the U.S. during World War II, which we invaded the European continent. Fortunately for Casey, he was a POW by then, so he didn't get to actively participate in D-Day. But he served, he did his duty, and luckily for him, he was able to fly the course, and we have him today with us, and we're able to honor him for his contributions and the things that he did for our country and our freedoms. I'm very, very thankful for it, and I'm appreciative of what he did, but most of all, his friendship. A few out there's a lot of veterans. I know they're amongst us, a lot of them we don't even know it. But if you do have the opportunity and you do see them out there, take the time to thank them, because you may not have that opportunity in the future, and you're going to want them back. So anytime you see a veteran, it's a very big honor to thank them, because they spent that time, they spent that duration, they bear the cost. I wish I could tell you more about Casey's situation. It's really it's a tearjerker. So the things that he went through, the things that he did for our freedom days would blow you away. So next time you see a veteran out there, just think about those guys and think about the sacrifice they made, and take the opportunity to thank them. We got a few minutes left. I'd like to open it up to some questions. If you have any, just raise your hand and we're happy to answer them. No questions? Go ahead.
When you were a POW, did they care for your wounds from being shot down?
She wants to know. Tell her about your eye, how they patched it up.
Well, when this happened, when on the day I was shot down, it was a miserable day. Nothing went right for me on that day. I was woke up early in the morning, too early for me, by my sergeant, and I kind of moaned for myself. I said, this is not going to be a good day, too early. And then other things happened that discouraged me from that day, and I just kept moaning and groaning. This is not going to be a good day. And, well, make a long story short, sure enough, that was the day that our crew, our whole crew, was shot down in over Germany. And I was hitting, I lost my eye, my right eye. And actually, the Germans, when they retrieved me, put me in a prison camp, they treated me pretty well. because they fitted me with a plastic artificial eye at that time. And it actually was no use because it's artificial plastic, but they patched me up enough to make me look good for and rest and the other repairs were taken care of by the Veterans Administration here in the United States by the American military. So, any questions on that?
You got one there? Go ahead, man. Say again? She wants to know if you regret your military service and being in the Army Air Corps. He wants to know if you regret your service.
Oh no! I enlisted. I wasn't drafted. I enlisted in the service. I thought, as a matter of fact, my thoughts at that time were I was going to work in a machine shop for the government purpose of producing war material. I thought I could help that way. Well, I got a job in a machine shop, worked there for a while. Then I decided I should be doing more than working in a machine shop. I thought of enlisting, so I went downtown, enlisted in the Army Air Corps, and served the government in that respect. I didn't just sit back in the in a machine shop. I enlisted right in the Marine, right the Army Air Corps.
No regrets.
That's it.
She wants to know if you had the chance to do it again, would you do it?
Maybe a little differently, but I think I still have the momentum, let's say, to join the service. I think I would. I think I would join the service, the military. Maybe do some things a little differently, but for the most part, I think I'd feel I'd want to serve again.
Got a couple other questions. Go ahead. What do you got? Oh, Casey, or what kind of airplane you flew? So Casey, he wants to know what kind of airplane you flew.
I flew in a B-17 Flying Fortress, they called it, Flying Fortress bomber. I was a gunner, a waist gunner on a B-17 Flying Fortress.
So as far as modern goes, in 1940s, it was a pretty modern bomber. So it was a heavy bomber, carried a lot of payload.
50 caliber machine gun.
10 crew members, and they had some pretty modern stuff on it. The Norton bomb sight was probably the most ingenious thing they had in it, which allowed the Army Air Corps to essentially deliver ordnance to a very confined area without doing collateral damage to civilians and other things. So yeah, there were some modern items in that particular airplane. Does that answer your question? Okay. Any other questions? Go ahead. Casey, yeah, want to know if he's at sea? Casey, she wants to know if you've ever been out to sea. You can talk to her about your search and rescue operations.
Out to sea?
Yeah.
Well, I've been out to sea once. When in training, we lost our first bomber. We lost it. It caught fire while we were on the training mission. It caught fire, and we had to abandon the ship, and crashed, of course, and burned, smashed up. So we were out of an airplane. We were sent back to our base to await a new plane. And from what we heard was production delays on a new plane. So we had to wait. In the meantime, they called us in the service in England. So they had to ship us to England in a hurry, let's say. And the best way for them to do that was put us on the Queen Mary, the ship, the Queen Mary, and they loaded us, the whole crew. As a matter of fact, the whole group that was there. That they loaded us on the Queen Mary and shipped us over on the Queen Mary. That was my only sea trip in the service. Oh no, I should correct that, because after we were liberated, after Germany, we went home on another Liberty ship. On a Liberty ship, we went home on a Liberty ship, and then ended up in New York City, and then in a hospital, and then home. Those are the only two times that I availed myself of the sea ships. Let's put it that way.
This gentleman here has a question for you, Casey.
Yeah.
Next question.
Did you continue with the Air Force after the war?
He wants to know, did you stay in the Air Force after the war?
No, I was offered the opportunity to re-enlist when my time came up, and with being wounded the way I was told that I couldn't fly. I wouldn't fly anymore. So I decided to take my discharge. I was discharged after my service. I didn't re-up for anything else in the service. I went home, got married. I tell everyone I re-enlisted, I got married. Anyhow, I went home, got married, raised my family, and actually, I'm alone now. Except for my daughter in Ohio and my son in West Seneca. They're still with me. But the rest of the family is gone, and I am home alone.
Thank you for coming in. And for myself, I'd like to thank you, Casey. I can't thank you enough for Jared. And Mr. Porteous wants to say a couple things.
So, as Mr. Panepento said, thank you both so much for coming, and thank you for all that you've done for every single one of us. Our students have created a small token of appreciation for each of you in our ship.
Casey was in the Army Air Corps, so along with Mr. Cummings and our
Students created that for you.
machine downstairs, the laser machine, we printed the image. And for Jared, who's in the Air Force, he printed, so we wanted to give this to them and show the students appreciation to these two.
Cool. Thank you all so much. This truly is an honor for me. I appreciate that so very, very much. Thank you all.
Thank you, Casey.
So thank you once again for coming in. Students at this time, your teachers will escort you back to your class. We're going to be here for a few minutes, and then you didn't get a chance to ask the question that you had. Otherwise, you're dismissed at this time. Please go back to your teachers, and let's give one more round of applause and thank you.